Bună dimineața. Good morning. Okay, this is not hard enough, I'm sorry. So, which way do you prefer, Romanian or English? English. So, good morning. Morning. It's really great to have you all here and have a warm welcome from Yonder at Yonder's 30th anniversary. It's really great to have you here. We're very happy that you're here, and we want to celebrate together, and not just celebrate today, but also learn, hopefully, about the future. And with this, I just want to say a special thanks to some categories of people who've made it here this morning. And to be honest, I was thinking as I was walking into the cinema at 8 in the morning, never in my life have I ever been to a movie theater so early in the morning. Don't know about you, but for me this is a first, and I don't intend to continue, to be honest. But thanks for coming so early on a Friday morning, and there's at least 4 categories of people who are here, and I want to welcome especially, and I'm going to start with the partners of Yonder, and not the customers, just the partners from the Cluj ecosystem who are here to celebrate with us. And I'm going to ask them to stand up just so that we can see them because they're here. It can be companies, NGOs, and others. Please stand up wherever you are. Whoever has cooperated with Yonder in a way or another in Cluj. Welcome. Secondly, I want to give a special welcome also to our former colleagues who have been with us, who have been part of our story for a number of years, and who are here today, this morning, to celebrate with us where Yonder is. And that's also thanks to you. So I want to invite our former colleagues who are with us this morning to stand up just so we can see you. Welcome and thank you. Great. Great to have you here. And then, it's a special day because we have literally tens of our partners from our customers who have come here today to celebrate with us. And many of them have traveled a long distance, and we do appreciate so much the fact that you took the effort to come and meet the teams and be with us. So please stand, all our customers who are here this morning. Thank you so much. And last but not least, it's about our team, about our colleagues, the Yonderists who are here this morning to celebrate. So please, all the Yonder current employees and future employees, okay? All the Yonder current employees, please stand up so everybody can see you. Thank you so much. Because in the end, a company is the sum of the people that make up the company. So it's about you, it's about us, it's about all of us who have been part of this great story that Yonder has been for the last 30 years. And with this, I'm just going to make 2 small announcements, and then we're going to take a time to look a bit back at our story so far. It's great that we're here. Just so you know, there will be 2 breaks during this conference. Also, we would kindly invite you to be on time after the break in a sign of respect for our speakers. So if you don't make it in time, you might have the surprise that the door is closed, so you'll have to just drink coffee in the meantime. That's one. And yes, there will be things to do in the break, and there will be what we call innovation labs, things to watch, things to experience, things to discuss. So that's something to look forward also when you'll be in the break. So here we are, and I think this is part of the story of Yonder, and I think if any of us thinks about Yonder30, everybody has at least one story. And I'm just going to start and quickly talk about my story in the process. Because my story actually started in university. I was a student, and half of my colleagues in those years were planning to leave the country and move and work abroad. And I had one mentor who put in me this idea that not all Romanians should leave Romania. I know it's surprising, But that was his advice for me. And I decided to stay, but I really thought, if I stay, what's the best chance? Where can I learn the most so that I can make a difference? And in those years, and this was 1997, some of you haven't even been born then, but in those years, I tried to do research how many IT companies are in Cluj. And there were not many. And then I did another research, how many foreign IT companies were in Cluj. And do you know the number? You can take a guess. 1. So fate brought me to Netrom, as the company was called then. And that's how the story started for me. I went to a foreign company run by a Dutch entrepreneur who had come to Romania to build something. Actually, he had come to Romania with a plan to help initially, because many foreigners were coming to Romania with aid, and he was doing that. But while on a trip here, he saw the potential of the IT people, of the students here, and he started with the idea to start a company. And as you've seen, the first company was not something very impressive by today's standards. Even the logo. I tried to find a better logo, but then I thought, this is how the logo looked like, okay? In terms of accuracy, in terms of quality, and it says something about where we were. And you've heard already, the company at the time was basically started with printing menus, printing stuff, because there were not too many printers in the country, then selling hardware, and then making software. And that's how the software started, because there was a need for software, there was a need for smart people, and the software was being carried to the Netherlands by car on floppy disk, okay? So this is really, really long time ago, and somehow it worked. And the company at the time was all about technology. We learned technology, and when we introduced ourselves, it was all about technology. We talked about languages, and we knew about Progress, and then .NET, and then Java. And even our website, and again, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but this is one of the first websites that we've had. We were bragging about how much technology we knew. And I think we were making a difference, but that's all we knew that mattered in a business, to know how to code, and that's what we put there. And you might not even see the byline, which is at the top, but actually, I'm not a marketing whiz, but what I could come up with at the time was to say, our minds, your software, pretty good line, right? That's the level at which we were at the time. But there was a time when we started to understand something in software, and that is that you can build software faster if you create frameworks. Actually, the founder was a person, Wilczesgraf was a person who was a programmer himself, working actually for one of the current TSS companies, Pianocoda Healthcare, before coming to Romania, and created frameworks to speed up development of software for VMS companies, for vertical market software companies. And that became somehow the DNA of Yonder, helping software companies be even better innovators, even though they are good innovators. Actually, we call it, cooking for chefs. It's easy to cook for somebody who's not a specialist, but to work for somebody who is a specialist in a domain is even harder. And that was the Yonder mantra in those days. Then something happened, and I call it the transaction. Because I'm going to be talking about 3 moments and 3 lessons from these 30 years of Yonder. Actually, the founder sold the company because him and myself, we didn't know what to do anymore. And that's actually a familiar story which I hear now in the M&A world, but there comes a point where you look at what you know, you look at the market, and you actually don't know how to take it further. And I think it was one of the best decisions, and not just the decision to sell, but also the decision to whom to sell. Because there's multiple types of buyers, and TSS was building at the time a platform and buying multiple VMS companies, and they saw, and we were honored for that, they saw in Yonder a potential accelerator, a company that could help other software companies within TSS, and not only TSS, speed up their development. And that's how we got into TSS. And that started a new journey in our time. Actually, we changed the logo once, and that's when the company became called Yonder. Now, I'm not sure if you know what Yonder means, but Yonder is actually a very familiar, popular term in the south of the US, which means over there. Now, where, we don't know exactly where, but like over there. And I only have a translation in Romanian for over there, And in Romanian, it sounds something like a colony. Sorry, I cannot explain it in English better. But it's about going somewhere without being precise about where you're going. And I think that describes quite well where we were at the time. We were going somewhere. We started the journey. We didn't know exactly where, but we started. And actually, one thing which we thought would help us, besides technology, was to think about processes. How to make, software development more predictable, better quality, and all that. And there comes processes. And part of the processes was, for instance, getting a CMI level 3 certification, which for many of you doesn't sound familiar, but for us at the time was a big change, a big success in getting an external accreditation that we were doing something right. Now, the only problem for me was that we've gotten that accreditation in the most correct way possible, I would say, but then one of the projects, which was part of the accreditation, failed as a project. And I got in a bit of a struggle myself, like, how can it be that the project which has the best processes is not successful from a business perspective? How can it be that you're trying to do everything right from a software development perspective, from a process perspective, but somehow the customer is not happy, we're not finishing in time, and we were missing some things? And I would say that pushed us into a third area, a third important moment in our history. And I would call it the BUs and lessons from CSI. At that time, well, I'm very happy that many of you are here. I'm especially happy that Ramon Zanders is here, and you'll hear him a bit later. But Ramon was our CEO at the time. And actually, what we understood from him is that besides software development, and besides processes, besides the what of what we do and the how of what we do, one very important question is, why do we do it? Are we aligned with the customer? Do we understand the needs? Do we really get the business case behind the software? Because, in Romania, we've been proud for so many years that we're good software developers, and we are. But still, sometimes, what we build doesn't match what the customer needs, even though it can be great technically. And that pushed us into what I would call our third era, in which besides technology and besides processes, we started to try to understand, the business case of customers. Why do they do what they do? What is their real need? How much software do they need? How good quality software do they need? Do you always need to over-design something? Or there are cases when you can do something simpler and be pragmatic about it. And also, besides the business aspect, it's also the mindset. And TSS helped us understand that the mindset of how we approach things, the values underlying the organization are really important. And that's about innovation, that's about dedication, and that's about being entrepreneurial. That's about thinking with the customer. And, I know I have to be careful when I speak here because we have customers in the room, and, if I try to oversell it, they will be the first to tell me we're not at that level. But I can at least honestly say that we're striving to get to the level where we do think along with them, together with them, so that we can be a good partner. So in short, for me, these were, I would say, 3 key moments where Yonder grew. And what makes me happy now is that looking at least at the business and mindset part, 30 years ago, there were maybe 1, 2 people who understood how the business works. Actually, when I became manager for the first time, I was both happy about it, but also very shocked about it, because I understood that there was a company with tens of people where basically the whole business depended on the relationship of the founder with 3 key customers. And my shock was like, okay, if something goes wrong in that relationship, what's going to happen with all these people? What's going to happen with the company? Well, if I look around now, there's hundreds of colleagues, and I know that there's tens of managers in Yonder who do understand the customer, who have a relationship with the customer, and we have roughly 100 customers per year that we work for. But those 100 customers are here because there are 100 people in Yonder. There are 400 plus people in Yonder who have a relationship with them, and there are tens of people in Yonder who understand or try to understand what and why we're trying to do for them. So that's my outline, and basically it overlaps also with a more technological outline. And you'll hear a bit later today from my colleagues from Remus and Paul how we look at it from a technical perspective. But I wanted to give you the overview when it comes to, let's say, the more business perspective of our development. Now, how does the future look like? And there's a famous quote by Yogi Berra who said, "It's hard to make predictions, especially about the future. And it's hard to make predictions, right? I'm not here to make predictions. But what I'm here to say is that there are some things that we have learned in these 30 years, which I think if they stay with us, or rather, if we stay with them, will make a difference and will give us even a better future going forward. The first lesson is that progress compounds. It's not even sure who said it first. There's a professor, Amara, or Bill Gates, but basically the quote is, most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. Yeah, we all, it's going to be the end of the year, we'll take decisions for next year, and that's great. And the chance is we will overestimate what we can accomplish in the next year. And you know what? That's fine. The question is not what we can achieve in 2024. The question is, will we be consistent and pursue the same thing also in 2025? Because if we do that for 1, 2, 3, 10 years, I'm sure there will be results. I'm sure there will be results. And that's our story. I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be here today speaking to you after 30 years of Yonder, 27 years myself here, and we'll be here. I'm very thankful for that. And always, if you stick to something, if you are persistent in something, in a personal life, in professional life, things do change, and we do have an impact by doing that. Secondly, ownership. Ownership drives performance, and that's something which we learned from CSI, from TSS. And that's why right now Yonder is not one company. Yonder is one brand, it is one entity, but it's really 5 companies behind it, and hopefully will be more of them in the future. Because what we understood is that it's not about centralization, it's about decentralization, it's about ownership at the local level, at the business unit level, at the team level, that really drives performance. And that's something which is such a key learning, and very few companies really get it. And I think it's one of the things that makes us special as a company. And third, it's about continuous learning. There's a phrase, a statement I really believe in, that those who seek shall find. Now the question is, what do we seek? But if we seek, we will find best practices, and there's lots of them in TSS. We will find benchmarks, we will find KPIs, we will find things which help us understand what we're doing, are we doing it well, what can be done better, and we'll find mentors. So my encouragement to you is to seek, to want to continue to learn. And I've counted at some point, Ramon actually taught me at some point that in a career, you do need to make changes to be able to grow. And in my life, in Yonder, I counted 9 changes so far. Now, I do think they will not stop, but 9 times when, I had to shift focus, I had to do something different. And, doing different things is difficult. Actually, somebody said, when you're good in one domain, what prevents you from being good in a different domain is that, the route between one mountaintop and a different mountaintop is not a straight line. You don't just go straight from one mountaintop to the other. To get to a, let's say, higher mountaintop, you have to get off the first one, go in the valley, and then relearn some things, unlearn some things, learn new things, and then climb again. And that's something which is a key condition to be able to grow. But I think if you stay learning, you stay growing. And last but not least, what we know is that it's all about the people. There's a business unit, and you'll recognize it, that in their management business reviews monthly, they always present the picture with the people that work in the unit. An up-to-date canvas of all the pictures, and I do appreciate it. It's about blue, and thanks guys, you're doing a great job, like all the other units. But because I'm at the point where, honestly, I don't remember all the names, at least I see once a month all the faces, and at least it makes me feel like I know the team, which is a partial truth. But what I understood in all these years is that, especially in a PS business like ours, and for those of you who are not in our industry, it's about professional services. We cannot rely so much on the contracts, and we cannot rely so much on a license or on an installed software. We're there because people want to work with us, and they love to work with us. So it's about the people towards our customers. It's about trust. It's about the people internally. It's about growing together, managing each other well, being good colleagues. It's about learning to stay together. And I want to finish with a quote by Winston Churchill, which I really liked. Now, this is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. What I wish for Yonder is that this is not the end, this is not even halfway, but this might be the end of a beginning phase, and that Yonder will have at least 30 more years of great growth and great learning together as a team. Thank you so much.